Welcome to Lessons in Leadership. Steve Adubato with the lovely and talented, what is it, talk show from the 70s, a game show?
You're Pat Sajak and I'm Vanna White. We never age.
That's people don't even know what we're talking about. That's Mary Gamba, this Lessons in Leadership. Hey, Mary, I had the chance to have a conversation. I called on my old paisan. Mary, do you know the word where the word paisan comes from?
I'm assuming it's some sort of an Italian word, but I don't know where it came from.
Paesani means it comes from the same paese. Paese is the same neighborhood, the same community in southern Italy, so they call him paesano. That's what it is. It makes no sense, but that's what it is. So I talked to Joe. You just saw the interview. It's a little wacky at times, right?
Oh, it's fascinating now. And I said one of the best things I love about Lessons in Leadership and the arts connection that we do on One-on-One as well, our arts programming on our sister series One-on-One, is that it does enable you to have fun with some guests. And you do have some fun, but you also talk about some substantive topics of what more we need from our leaders in media. And really that we can all come together. We may disagree on certain things, but let's really come together for a common good at the end of the day.
And along those lines, Joe Piscopo, again, on AM 970 in the mornings, and also he does a show on WABC on the weekends with Sinatra, which has nothing to do with politics. But Joe leans, he's center-right, as he says in this interview, but the conversation really is about, regardless of what your politics are and what you believe ideologically, can't we just be respectful to each other and not have to cause someone or believe someone's our enemy? Or it's just so unhealthy, so unproductive. And Joe says a great line. He goes, I don't have time to hate people like that. So check out this interview. I did it one-on-one with the one and only Jersey Joe Piscopo. Check it out. Hi, everyone. Steve Adubato. We kick off the program with my longtime friend and colleague in the media, Joe Piscopo. Joe Piscopo Show, AM 970. The Answer, weekdays 6. This dude gets up at like 3 or 4, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. And also on 77 WABC, I do not miss a Sunday night. Sundays with Sinatra, hosted by Joe Piscopo. Sundays from 6 to 8, a legend from Saturday Night Live and a whole bunch of other great things. Hey, how are you, Paisan?
Steven, you look great. So every hit I do on TV, I put a suit and tie on because you and I are from the Bloomfield Avenue School of Style. And you got to do the Frankie Vincent, Joey Pesci, dress it up a little bit. So I'm on with my buddy Steve. I've known you 100 years.
Joe?
I'm home. I'm in Hunterdon County, and I said, let me just kick back at my house. We're Zooming, and look at me. But look, this is for you. You know the great comedian Jeff Norris gave me this shirt. How cool is that shirt? It's Jersey, baby. Look at that. And it's got all the counties, the 21 counties on my sweatshirt. So, and the hat's Tunnel to Tower. So I'm locked and loaded, but I don't look near as good as you, my friend.
And Tunnel to Tower is Mary Gamba, our executive producer. Mary, connect with our folks, because I just saw a Tunnels to Towers 30-second spot. We need to do a feature on that organization because they are incredible, the work that they're doing. We'll do that. Hey, Joe, let's do this. Describe the graphics going to come up. Where the heck are we in 2024 when it comes to those of us in the media, all different mediums, and our responsibility to report and talk about things factually, but always respectfully, even when we disagree? Please, Joe.
Yeah, it's a great question, my friend. You know, and you actually started even before I did. I got into the radio, so if you keep it, what I try to do is keep it everybody calm. Everybody's scared, and you got to calm everybody down, no matter what you believe. You and I are old school Essex County Democrats. You know, it's like I'm not anymore, but I always was. And
I'm not anymore, Joe. Whoa! I'm a journalist.
What? Yeah. Oh, yes, you're a journalist. A Democratic journalist.
No, Joe. Hold on. Just because you used to be a Democrat and then you transformed into, we'll talk about that in a minute. But I'm going to say this. Those who watch our programming know, I don't care if someone's a Democrat or Republican.
No, you're right. You're You're always like that.
But don't you try to do the same thing, Joe?
Oh, man, I'm after the 4 hours on the radio, 6 to 10 on AM 970, The Answer. You've come on, you've hosted. You know, it's like a wild runaway train. And then I see all the news coming in, and then you don't know if it's real or not. And I could read everything offline, but I don't. I got to check with Joe Sibilia. I got to check with Alcatullo.
Your producers,
Debbie Duhane, and we got our team there, thank God. Steve, I'm exhausted. I say, do everything under the radar. Because the thing you got to do, and what I preach every single morning, is I put aside the hate. You can't hate. Everybody hates now. Stop with the hate. We're all in it together. It'll all work out. You know, if you believe in something. I have friends that are way far right, way far left, and I love them, and I don't hate them, you know? And I think I'll tell you the truth between you and I, Steve, because we know each other so long, be perfectly honest with you on your show. It's like, if I wasn't like kind of in the middle, or, you know, I'm right of center, but my friends are either way left of center, or right. If I was hardcore, and I'd probably have 1 million followers. You know what I mean? Sometimes if you're hardcore, either the extremes seem to get all the followers. I'd rather keep it under the radar, keep it quiet, try to be nice, amicable. Pragmatic is my favorite word. I get upset sometimes, you know, and I'll rail sometimes. But for the most part, it's nice to stay as calm as we can, you know.
But I'm going to follow up on that, Joe. You and I have a mutual friend. Let's just call him Nicky G. Okay? And Nicky G. No. Listen, it's not some wise guy name. It's Nicky G. That's who it is. Okay?
Doesn't sound like a wise guy name. You're right.
No, seriously, hold on. So in all seriousness,
I'm sorry.
Our friend Nicky G, who is
great guy,
one of my closest friends of all time, we disagree on just about everything. But here's the thing that Nick and I talk about all the time, that some of my friends who are, let's say, very far left, will know of his politics, Nick's politics, and they'll say, how could you be best friends with that guy? And my response is, and Nick and I laugh about that because we have different views, and we'll say, hold on, you think because somebody voted differently in an election or someone has different views, you can't, how about loyalty, history, respect, real friendship, la familia? And I'm not going to turn this into an Italian-American thing. I'm stunned by people who think you can't or shouldn't be friends with people who see the world differently. Go ahead, Joe Piscopo.
I know, it's true, because on the show, you know, they say, oh, Joe's a conservative. I said, I am. I said, I'm just a guy who loves the country. Like I'm a mouthpiece for my parents, rest their souls. You know, I'm a mouthpiece. We know where we were brought up, Stephen, and your family comes from Newark, you know, and we went to Newark to Bloomfield and up to the North.
Just call it old school.
Yeah, and it's about America. My father fought in the Second World War. My mom was a diehard and guilt-ridden, church-going, God-fearing Italian Catholic. You know, I dropped to my knees. I go St. Thomas. I went to St. Thomas in Bloomfield. We got married at the Basilica in Newark, the Sacred Heart Basilica. That's all me. So when I talk about it, and I talk about that, there are a lot of people that feel like we do. Just, you know, we believe in the country, but I don't hate anybody. No matter what your color is, what your sex is, what you think you are. You know what, Steve? I don't have time to hate. I'm exhausted. You know what I mean? I don't have time.
But so many in the media, Joe, so many in our business, sorry for interrupting, my friend, so many in our business say this, pick sides. Who are you with? Are you with us or them?
You can't. They like to divide. They want to divide and conquer. They want to divide and conquer. It's like one of my favorite guests, if I may, and my friends who are conservative get me is Josh Gottheimer from the 5th in Bergen County. Great guy.
United States Congressman Josh Gottheimer. Yep.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Oh, he's a Democrat. Yeah, and you know, he's an old school kind of Democrat. Then I talked to Nicole Maliotakis in Staten Island, and Josh and Nicole are together trying to get, you know, that Gateway project going.
But they don't agree on a lot of things. They don't agree on the 2020 election. They don't agree on ideological issues. But that, like, they can't ever come together and work together. That's ridiculous.
You have work done? You look good, man. I got to tell you something. You look really handsome.
Why you hurt me like this?
You look so good. Can I have his number? Can I have the guy's number? Because I'm ready. I'm ready.
Now you're gonna. What do you say?
I need plugs. I need a little of this, Steve. Come on, baby. I'm ready.
Listen, we're gonna use this interview on public television. You get serious.
Sorry. Okay.
Do this, because you and I go around in our house. Sinatra's everywhere, not just playing on Sundays and waiting for Joe to come on, but there are pictures everywhere of Sinatra, and he's a big part of the way I grew up. Your healthy obsession with Frank Sinatra. Give me a minute on or less. Go.
No, Mr. S. You mean? It's if he wasn't from New Jersey, if Mr. Sinatra was not a North Jersey Italian American, and he wasn't born a year apart from my dad.
April art, makeup artist, Hoboken. Go ahead, pick it up, Joe.
Yeah. But it's so true, because if it wasn't that, it's my dad. It's all about my dad. It's about, they were so identical. And my father went on, as you know, went to Rutgers, became a lawyer in Passaic, Pop, and our fathers, rest their souls, man. And now that's what it's about. And the old man, Mr. Sinatra, we affectionately refer to him as the old man, as an admiral or a captain or someone in charge, the ultimate guy. And he was like, so like my dad. I would watch Mr. S. I was at resorts and Mr. Sinatra was there performing. And we're watching it. And then I'd watch the moves he'd make, and he would do the shoulders, or he'd do the hand, or he'd say a certain something. You make me feel so good. You're boom. That's my father. It is my dad. And I grasp onto that legacy, because then when I do Sundays with Sinatra, and thank you, Steve Adubato, for letting me plug WABC. And now we're streaming worldwide. It's syndicated. And a matter of fact, this weekend, if I can plug, we're in Nashville. We're doing a celebration of the Sinatra Bar and Lounge. And I'm going to be down there with Tina Sinatra. That's their royalty. The Sinatra name is royalty. And I treat it with such respect. But then when I study him, Steve, and I study how he started, that's our neighborhood, man. Rustic Calvin. He was in Englewood Cliffs.
New Jersey,
He's
right?
Out of Hoboken, this guy, and he went on to become an international superstar, never forgot his roots like you and I do. That's the obsession right there.
And do this, check out our sister series, Remember Them, with my colleague, Jackie Chicarico. One of our first Remember Them series we do in cooperation with the New Jersey Hall of Fame that Joe knows well, is the #1 show. First show we ever did was on the life and legacy of the great Frank Sinatra. P.S. Joe, go ahead. I got 30 seconds left. Go.
You did a great job at the Hall of Fame inducting your father. Wait a minute. This was given. Michael, this is from Michael Adubato Jr. Do you remember this? 100 years ago, when I first started helping out, leading the way of Ray Chambers and your dear dad, who really blazed the path to help others in the great city of Newark, New Jersey. I was presented with this by the Adubato family, and I wanted to show it to everybody.
My late cousin Michael. Hey, Joe, before I let you go, when my father passed, what was the Sinatra song that they played that was about my father's life, and he did it whose way?
My Way, baby. My Way. That was the one.
When I come, what's the song? What's the song you guys play when I'm coming on? Not when you're doing Springsteen, when you're doing Sinatra. When we're in the summer and I come on your show, what's the Sinatra song?
Probably Mr. Sinatra's greatest vocal performance. Steve has it in his contract. When he comes on AM 970, we have to play The Summer Wind.
The Summer Wind.
Comes blowing in from across the sea.
Listen to Joe on Sunday nights on WABC, Sundays with Sinatra. He's still singing. He's still doing it. What am I, Tommy Cutlets over here? Check him out on AM 970, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. on AM 970. Hey, Joe, thank you, my friend.
I love you, Stephen. Love to the family, please, my friend. Thank you. Keep up the great work.
Same to you. Do me a favor. Next time when you're on, dress up. Okay. See you right after this, folks. Be right back. This edition of Lessons in Leadership is made possible by the Buccino Leadership Institute at Seton Hall University, Prager Metis, Valley Bank, the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 825, the North Ward Center, the New Jersey Sharing Network, Delta Dental of New Jersey, the HELIX, Fedway Associates, Inc., the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, Veolia, Resourcing the World, Choose New Jersey, and Seton Hall University, showing the world what great minds can do since 1856.
This is Mary Gamba. If you want more leadership tips and tools, log on to stand-deliver.com.
Promotional support for this edition of Lessons in Leadership with me, Steve Adubato, and my colleague Mary Gamba has been provided by NJ.com, NJBIA and New Jersey Business Magazine, CIANJ and Commerce Magazine, and the Meadowlands Chamber and Meadowlands Media. Hey everyone, Steve Adubato. This is Lessons in Leadership. We kick off this series. This new series is called the mini-series of Lessons in Leadership, Discovery and Innovation in New Jersey. So there'll be a whole range of programs with people in this state who are involved in discovery and innovation. And our partner in that is Chris Palladino, president of New Brunswick Development Corporation, DEVCO, and HELIX behind him. Chris, this series, Discovery and Innovation in New Jersey, there'll be Tim Sullivan from the Economic Development Authority, the head of the RWJ Barnabas Health, the head of Hackensack Meridian Health, Princeton University, Rutgers University, all your partners. Why is this series, Lessons in Leadership, Discovery and Innovation in New Jersey, so important, Chris?
Look, It's important because the HELIX is important. The HELIX is important to New Jersey. We're building an ecosystem that is going to foster scientific collaboration, discovery, and commercialization, and hopefully reignite the innovative spirit of New Jersey, which has been part of our history.
Yeah, tee it up, Mary.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to be talking a lot about discovery. What does that look like in 20 seconds or less? What does discovery and innovation look like in New Jersey?
New Jersey has, a long history of this. Thomas Edison, Albert Einstein, Sarnoff, Waxman. They created industries. They created jobs. And what we are trying to do is create an environment where the next telephone, the next laser, the next pharmaceutical or therapy is going to be founded and create an entire new industry in New Jersey. And this is creating an environment where creative collisions can happen. What's fortunate is that people have finally realized once again that they need to collaborate. They need each other. They can do more in partnerships than they can alone. And this is a place that can do that.
And so you may wonder, discovery and innovation in New Jersey, and I appreciate that Chris Palladino mentioned Edison. On our sister series, Remember Them, that I do with Jackie Chikarico, we did a whole special on innovation in New Jersey that started with people like Edison. And so to Chris's point, this whole series, Discovery and Innovation in New Jersey, we'll talk to people, we'll feature people who are making a difference, who are innovating, who are discovering. New Jersey has that history, as Chris said, but why not in New Jersey again? And that's what's happening at the HELIX. Chris, thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Mary.
You got it. Lessons in Leadership, Discovery and Innovation in New Jersey. Here it is.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for joining us once again for Lessons in Leadership. I'm happy to say that we're joined today by Sarah Clarke, Executive Vice President, and Merissa Buczny, Vice President, New Brunswick Development Corporation. Sarah and Merissa, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having us.
Merissa, I'd love to start. This is obviously for our series, Lessons in Leadership, Discovery and Innovation in New Jersey. Can you talk a little bit about what the HELIX is and why it is so important to innovation in our state?
The HELIX really came about probably about 6 years ago in the form of the New Jersey Innovation Hub, when we first started discussions with the governor about reinvigorating the innovation economy in New Jersey. It's really a place where our vision is focused on creating not only an innovation district, but really an entire ecosystem where academic scientists, medical school educators, students, the private sector, and startups could really collaborate and energize the local and state economy in downtown New Brunswick.
Jump in there. Go ahead, Mary.
I was just going to say, yep, Sarah. And if you could talk a little bit about your role, because one thing, go ahead, Steve.
No, I was going to say 24 years, our timing is impeccable. Go ahead.
Well, I'm so used, usually Steve's the one that's driving it. So I just wanted to make sure.
No, you're driving this bus right now.
Steve, I saw your finger. You were leaning in. But Sarah, the one thing I do want to make a little bit of a differentiate between you and Merissa, you were doing something a little bit different with the Rutgers Cancer Institute of New Jersey, correct? So it's similar. It has something to do with the HELIX. Talk a little bit about why that's important.
Well, I think that, New Brunswick has a rich history of innovation and research. Obviously, it's partners with Rutgers and with the hospitals and so forth. Right. And the Cancer Institute, the new Jack and Cheryl Morris Cancer Center, will be emblematic of that rich history and is really part and parcel to all of the research that'll be conducted at the HELIX. So it's really kind of being done at the same time in the same spirit with the same partners. And up the street, we'll be having 10 new research laboratories, as well as all the new beds and treatment opportunities for patients at the same time that the HELIX and the research going on at that facility will be underway as well. So it's part of the broader innovation district really that is taking place.
To both Sarah and Merissa, I want to follow up on that. So it's just literally, as we're doing this program, most recently, there's always something going on at the HELIX. J&J is coming on board in this new initiative, which is really exciting. And J&J is one of our longtime sponsors of our public broadcasting programming. So I'm curious about this. Sarah, one of the things that we struggle with, in a good way, on Lessons in Leadership is partnerships are critical. Collaboration is critical. But the more partners you bring to the dance, the harder it is to get them to dance to the same tune. I know that sounds corny, but you know that's true, Sarah. How the heck to get everybody to play nice in the sandbox?
You know, we have a lot of experience with partners. And so I don't think that we are ever deterred by the number of partners in a project. I think that just invigorates us to get us to working harder, to make everybody work together and to see the common goal. I think ultimately listening to what every partner's requirements are and then having a vision to ultimately make it all work, that's what happens. I mean, the fact that someone might not start on day one with the same vision as another partner, ultimately they all come together when they're able to share and understand what the result will be to benefit everybody. I think that's really the what we see and what our experience is.
Merissa, jump in.
I was just going to say, I mean, I think the commonality in all of our projects is that we're kind of the linchpin, right? We know we have relationships, and like you said, relationships are so key in everything that we do, because we have ongoing relationships with Rutgers and with the city of New Brunswick's leadership, and with J&J and with the hospitals. I mean, we understand what their needs are, and then when it comes time to really put everybody together, we figure out how to make it fit, and it develops into a commonality of need. And it's, you know, we find the more you put into the bag, the better the project is. And we saw that with our Performing Arts Center, where we have several participants who don't have common goals.
I'm sorry, the New Brunswick Performing Arts Center.
Yes.
That's a big, because wait a minute, we're up here in the north, and sometimes people, when they say the Arts Center, they think a little downtown north, a different Arts Center. But the New Brunswick, why is that so exciting?
Well, I think that's a prime example of how we brought together several stakeholders who didn't realize they had the needs that they had, and it came together in a way that, you know, we've got Rutgers as a partner, we've got the County of Middlesex, we've got a private residential developer, all of them compounded to make this project possible. And we developed a project, you know, that the EDA,
the Economic Development Authority, Tim Sullivan, our friend there.
Yeah, yep. Absolutely. A great partner of ours. You know, they issued tax credits for the project that ultimately became, you know, a project that New Brunswick has really developed around. And it's actually one of the reasons that a lot of these, so like, as we talk about Nokia coming to the HELIX, you know, that was one of the reasons that they really were excited about it, to have a place like the Performing Arts Center, to have a place like the Heldridge Hotel, which is across the street, to see the Cancer Center in development. All of those things bring about the excitement, and to see the train station development that's about to happen.
In Brunswick, yeah. So a lot, again, Mary, again, as we say about partnerships, as challenging as they are at times, we need to remind ourselves that that Performing Arts Center in New Brunswick never would have happened if the city of New Brunswick tried to do it alone. You can't do stuff alone. You need partners. Mary, jump back in. Yeah, speaking of partners, my partner and colleague, Mary Gamma, go ahead.
Exactly. That is me. And Sarah, I would love to get your perspective on something. Steve was talking about having so many partners and so many different ideas, so many cooks in the kitchen, if you will. Leadership and dealing with difficult, challenging conversations when two people don't always agree. Sarah, can you talk a little bit about that, especially being a woman leader in construction, in development? How do you approach those conversations that may not always be so easy, that are much more challenging? How do you approach those, in what type of leadership style?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. Obviously, it doesn't start at the day of the difficult conversation. It starts years or months before then, developing that relationship, making sure that you understand exactly what where that other individual is coming from, where their company, where their institution is coming from. I think sometimes you need to let it ride out. Sometimes there's going to be a difficult conversation. Other times you need to hit it head on. I think ultimately, if they know you where you're coming from, and there's mutual respect, and which I think both Merissa and I have experienced in our years here at DEVCO. I think that becomes the way that you're able to effectuate change and actually make it happen. So,
Merissa, I want to follow up on that. I mean, I appreciate Mary raising that issue, because Chris Palladino, who is the point guard, let's just say, for this initiative, and Chris introduced this initiative, and Chris and I had a lot of offline conversations. We talk a lot about leadership development, and we do a lot of leadership development and coaching, and one of the subjects that comes up on a regular basis is the challenge and the difficulties associated with having difficult conversations. But the fact that if you don't have those conversations, things don't resolve themselves because you avoided it. That being said, I'm curious about this. Merissa, your leadership development, your evolution as a leader, how the heck do you manage your own leadership development? A, B, is how much of it is part of the culture of where you work?
Wow. So, I mean, DEVCO is a very small place. There's only a few of us here that have been here for a long time. And I've been lucky. I've been tremendously lucky to have had Sarah Clarke as a mentor since I got here. Sarah's been here almost 30 years. I've been here about 28. And it really is a place where we kind of grew up here. And we have Chris Palladino, yes, who's been here just as long, who is he's a role model in many ways.
There is.
Absolutely. He's got great energy and great enthusiasm and a great mind. And his ability to see how important relationships are, getting back to relationships, has really gotten us to the place where we are able to do all of these projects and understand, like Sarah said, understand where people are coming from, because you have not just a business relationship. Many of these people we have, 20-year personal relationships with as well, because it's not just the building of the buildings. It's, the things that you help people with when you don't need to, or you don't have to, or it's not filling your pot, right?
It's not transactional.
Exactly. So, we've had a mayor in New Brunswick, Mayor Jim Cahill, who's been here for 30 plus years, who is also very much a role model for us because of his continuity and his strength of character.
I want to give you Sarah, I want to give you the last word on this leadership development. And your colleague just said that you've been a role model and mentor for her by design. Mary's word, intentionally. Are you an intentional mentor?
I think that we have to be intentional mentors, and I would say right back at Merissa, she and I have had an excellent, working relationship. And the fact that we're colleagues who have been able to build each other up is huge, and certainly Chris as a leader who's allowed us to grow and to expand our capacity is also huge. You don't find that. So certainly it's our responsibility to mentor those around us. I mean, that becomes the strength of your team, quite frankly. So.
Mary, isn't it interesting? We talk about culture all the time. People have a lot of word salad around culture. I don't even know what they mean half the times. But you know it when you see it and experience it. And to Chris and the team at DEVCO and the folks at the HELIX, there's a culture and it's real. And it's about leadership development and helping people be better than they would be if they were on their own. And hopefully that's what we're trying to do as well. Hey, to Merissa and to Sarah, I want to thank you for joining us, to Chris Palladino, and the folks at DEVCO that allow us, and the HELIX to allow us to do this series on discovery and innovation in New Jersey. I want to thank both of you for joining us. For Mary, for myself, for our team, all just trying to get better every day. See you next time on Lessons in Leadership. This edition of Lessons in Leadership is made possible by the Buccino Leadership Institute at Seton Hall University, Prager Metis, Valley Bank, the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 825, the North Ward Center, the New Jersey Sharing Network, Delta Dental of New Jersey, the HELIX, Fedway Associates, Inc., the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, Veolia, Resourcing the World, Choose New Jersey, and Seton Hall University, showing the world what great minds can do since 1856.
This is Mary Gamba. If you want more leadership tips and tools, log on to stand-deliver.com. That's stand-deliver.com.
Promotional support for this edition of Lessons in Leadership with me, Steve Adubato, and my colleague Mary Gamba has been provided by NJ.com, NJBIA and New Jersey Business Magazine, CIANJ and Commerce Magazine, and the Meadowlands Chamber and Meadowlands Media.
At Delta Dental, we do more to make benefits easy to implement, use, and understand. It's why businesses large and small trust us to keep their employees smiling. Year after year, we make our clients and members happy with unmatched expertise and great dental benefits. We apply our decades of experience to give you more guidance, providing plan design options and cost-saving measures. With reliable support for you and your employees, we make administration effortless and free up your time so you can focus on other business needs. We even do more for vision care with Delta Vision. Choose Delta Dental and discover what the power of more can do for your business and your employees.